It's a short time after we've settled into our chairs that Earl unclips his phone and calls his wife. He exchanges some courtesies and then tells her about me. Well, I'm here with Pops and a young man who's originally from Israel. There's a pause and then, yeah, that's right, Israeli. He's a student writing a report on the Minutemen. By nightfall, the cattle have stopped making noise and so has Earl. Shortly after the sun goes down, he gets up. Earl takes out his thermal scope and surveys the scene. Kneeling down with his elbow rested on his knee to give the scope a calibrated balance, he swivels back and forth for panoramic views. Earl suggests the two of us take turns with the surveillance. We can run half-hour shifts. Thermal scopes are a tricky affair. They work by detecting heat, but as Earl cautions me, all objects give off a certain amount of heat, and it's important to be able to distinguish cacti and jackrabbits from Mexicans. He instructs that I survey the scene around with the scope to get a good sense of what's there. That way, later you can pick up anything that's different. Directing me to focus to a mesquite tree nearby, I'm asked to describe what I see. Earl is pleased with my depiction of a burning bush, kind of like the one Moses must have seen. He gives a whispered chuckle. What I want you to get into your head is that if it's not moving, it's not moving. If it's an illegal, you're going to see that flash of heat moving. For the next 4 hours, we take our turns with the thermal scope. When I'm not doing my share, I try as best I can to see what Earl is up to. He kneels, he gets up, walks a few quiet steps, kneels back down, takes a panoramic view. When it's my turn, I try to do the same. Earl thinks he spotted someone. Crouched down, he whispers me over in excitement. I'm handed the scope by an eager hand and directed to look 150 yards due north. I see nothing. I tell Earl. Earl takes the scope. He paces around in haste, crouching, looking. Earl's breathing gets heavy. By now it's become very cold, and when Earl opens his mouth, it releases a cloud of steam. Sorry. There he goes, I'm calling it in. Earl takes hold of the radio strapped to his camouflage jacket and calls the base. This is Tennessee at Alpha 4. He waits for acknowledgement. Then he continues in a pant. I've got one headed due east, about 200 yards due north of our post. Earl turns to me, breathing heavily. It doesn't feel so cold anymore, huh? An hour after Earl makes his call, we hear the roar of a truck engine approaching. The engine makes a loud ripping noise. It sounds kind of like a lawnmower that's constantly trying to start up. The truck, a beat-up 1970s Chevy, belongs to a man they call Blowfish. Mike doesn't like me. The truck, a beat-up 1970s Chevy, belongs to a man they call Blowfish. If you saw this guy's face, you'd understand how he got his name. Blowfish is serving as the line leader. He is the most admired person back at the Minutemen camp. He used to be a Green Beret. They say he was involved in a number of classified special operations in Vietnam. He has a mythic status among these men. Blowfish parks his truck 50 feet from us. Earl runs over to him. Earl wants to know why the Border Patrol never showed up. Through a roll-down window, Blowfish explains that since there were only one of them, and since Border Patrol doesn't have many assets in the area, they didn't bother to call it in. Earl is dejected, and sensing this, Blowfish quickly adds, "But don't worry, you'll get credited with a sighting. We'll put it down." Earl will get his recognition. In fact, he already has. Blowfish has given him credit, and in the Minutemen camp, that means a great deal. Besides his mythic past, Blowfish does a number of things which give him his aura. Often he'll come to camp displaying a rattlesnake he'd killed while driving in the desert. Other times he'll make accurate predictions about upcoming storms. Many attribute his prophetic skills to his supposed Cherokee Indian roots. But for the volunteers, what's most impressive about this man is that he doesn't need to use headlights when he drives in the desert at night. Blowfish can navigate through the Arizona desert in pitch black. You see, part of the role of the line leader is to check up on people during the shift. Unlike other members who are required to remain stationary, the line leader is allowed to move around. Members in post recognize the importance of this, but they're also kind of upset by it. When the line leaders drive in their trucks, headlights illuminating the dark night, they blow everyone's cover. I don't get the point, a volunteer tells me. Here we are supposed to be all quiet, and they come up with their engines blaring and headlights on. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But Blowfish is different. He makes an effort not to blow people's cover. He doesn't need to turn on his headlights. He uses his Generation 3 night vision binoculars, holding them up to his eye with one hand while steering the wheel with the other. Aided by the night vision binoculars and his extensive knowledge of the Arizona desert, Blowfish drives in utter darkness. And the men on the line respect him for that. He knows this place better than the goddamn Border Patrol, Earl tells me. I wonder if I should ask Earl what difference it makes whether his lights are on or not, considering that noisy engine. But I've started to understand something. We're not here to catch Mexicans, are we? Thanks.